Greetings, everyone. It's Saratoga. I'm still waiting for my back to heal, so instead of doing video today, I'm offering you another audio message. So I hope you enjoy this. Okay, here's what I want to talk to you about today. There is a serious question that we need to start asking ourselves. The question is, what if extraterrestrial disclosure is real? I know that sounds like a simple question, and I know it's really easy to say, oh, give me a break. It's no big deal. We wouldn't believe it anyway, or whatever the simple answer is. But I think our situation is a lot more complicated than that. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to take this topic out of an overly simplified interpretation and bring it into something that is far more realistic. Here are the two overly simplified interpretations that we see most of the time. Well, it's a fake alien invasion. No one's going to believe that. That's just stupid. The second one might be, we already know the ETs are here. This disclosure scene is just one big yawn. And then, of course, we have all the fanciful New Age versions of ETs, which we don't really need to talk about today. Today, I want to focus on more realistic, various possibilities of disclosure and what that might inevitably mean to all of us. As I said, it's not just about whether or not you believe that disclosure is real. It's more complicated than that. Disclosure is unfolding in the midst of our wider world chaos. I think it is urgent that we prepare ourselves now for whatever is to come in this regard. Now, I think it is obvious to anyone who can think in a wider spectrum of consciousness that it is highly likely that there is extraterrestrial involvement with our planet Earth. In fact, I know there is because I have had a number of experiences of my own and have talked to many other people who have as well. Plus, you guys, it's just plain old common sense. There is no way that we humans on Earth are completely alone in this entire gargantuan universe. That idea is positively insane. Yet people have continued to believe that for a very long time because if they don't see a spaceship landing in their yard or in their neighborhood, they just assume that there's no such thing. So here is the deeper picture of what I think is really going on with disclosure behind the scenes. Supposedly, this all started in 1954 when President Eisenhower apparently had several secret meetings with aliens. Now, I think there's some controversy about what actually happened, but here's how the story goes. Supposedly, he met with them at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico and had a discussion with them about providing us with advanced technology. Apparently, the military-industrial complex, or what we today call I'll use the initials DS, and hopefully you know what I'm talking about. But in any case, the military-industrial complex, which Eisenhower warned about, these people subverted that meeting and took over the talks with the aliens. They basically took the power away from the president to make decisions for our planet in this regard. Now, supposedly, these underhanded characters signed an agreement that said there would be a trade-off between the government and the gray aliens. Supposedly, the agreement was that the aliens would provide the government with advanced technology, and in exchange, the aliens would be permitted to abduct human beings and animals here on Earth in order to gain whatever genetic information they needed from our species and perform whatever experiments they found necessary. Now, I'm not an expert on this, but this is just the gist of what people believe happened. Guys, I'm sure this story is more complicated than this simple version that has been discussed for many years, but let's just stay with the possible simple version for now. I really don't think we will ever know the true details of what actually happened, But I do believe that such an agreement is credible because it's the only thing that makes any sense with the multitude of abductions that have been taking place on this planet for many decades. Now, Dr. Stephen Greer has maintained that these abductions are fake and are actually done by the US government. I don't know what to think about that. I think that's a little bit far-fetched. Why would the government need to build spaceships to abduct people from their homes when they could probably do it in much more efficient ways than they probably already do? Stephen also claims that we have reverse engineered crashed spaceships, along with spaceships that the military has shot down and gotten the technology that way as well. I suppose that could be partly true, but some of this doesn't really add up. For example, let's talk about the infamous cattle mutilations that have been going on worldwide for a very long period of time. If the government was doing this, why in the world wouldn't they just have their own cattle ranch and do the experiments on their own cows? Why, guys, why would they need to create a literal spaceship to beam these animals up and then drop them back down with the weird kind of, what do they call it, bloodless surgery or something, that they left? I mean, this makes absolutely no sense. That, to me, guys, that's just dumb, right? So I don't know what to make of Stephen's belief about this. But I do think that Dr. Greer has some excellent points to make about the bigger picture on this planet. I want to discuss that with you today because however this whole thing unfolds, we could be in for a world of chaos in the not too distant future. I am going to explain to you why that is and why we need to be prepared. Now, Dr. Greer claims that it is a multinational corporate conglomerate of extremely powerful people who are behind this whole thing with reverse engineering ET crafts and shooting them down. They want to keep this whole thing secret so that they can maintain the power that they believe they have accrued. Now, let's also imagine for a moment that an agreement actually occurred between the gray aliens and either just the US government or other governments around the world. Do you think that's something that government officials would want people to know about today? Do you think they would want people to know that they made such a diabolical pact with aliens from space? Of course they wouldn't. But this could also explain the fact that there are factions within the government that will do anything necessary to keep all of this secret. So this means one of two scenarios could be true. Either this powerful multinational conglomerate run by corporations is secretly retrieving crashed UFOs and shooting down UFOs to extract their technology. It's either that or the situation with President Eisenhower could be true, and a deal was made between the military-industrial complex and the gray aliens to be allowed to perform abductions on humans and animals. But whatever the case, these are not good people. And they are absolutely desperate that no one find out about the government's relationship with extraterrestrials. Okay, so let's put that aside for a minute. Now, apparently there's another faction that is trying just as hard to have real disclosure occur. So what is the difference between these two groups? I think, and this is just my theory, I think the difference has to do with the massive advancement of technology that has occurred on this planet within the last 100 years. Technology and AI are advancing at such a rapid pace that it is becoming apparent to everyone that these technologies require a level of energy that cannot be supplied by our old systems. Oil, coal, gas, windmills, nuclear, and rudimentary solar panels are really just too archaic and disjointed to serve as the underpinning for the technology that could be coming down the road. So that brings up the subject of free energy, which is the last thing these controllers ever want us to know about. This entire planet runs on oil. I seriously doubt that the oil industry would tolerate a free energy scenario that would completely transform our entire civilization. I don't think they're going to go for that. So it is possible that there is a faction looking to the future and realizing that the current advancement of technology is about to hit a brick wall of archaic energy sources that will not be able to support it. They are trying to support things like AI with massive data centers, but I suspect it is becoming obvious that that solution is not a long-term way to solve this problem. I have to wonder if some of these people are the ones who are truly pushing for disclosure in a more realistic way. See, the more you think about this, the more you realize that this is a very complex situation. It's not as simple as saying, oh, let's show the people that aliens actually exist. It's just not that simple. So let's imagine a possibility. I'm not saying this is true, I just look at it as a possible theory. There could be one side fighting tooth and nail to prevent disclosure because they do not want people finding out about this potentially horrific agreement they've made with the Greys, and they want to maintain their power in secret. There could be another faction that is more interested in advancing technology and transforming our energy sources to support that technology, who realize that they cannot bring that out in the open without revealing that they actually got it from extraterrestrial sources. In short, you guys, this entire situation is probably a huge mess. I don't really think that a fake alien invasion is in the cards at this point, because number one, no one will believe it. And number two, it really doesn't serve any real purpose at all. It's only useful if everyone on Earth believes it and they can use it to control the population of the planet. But I think that ship of possibility has sailed because everyone's already heard about Project Bluebeam. Now let's stand back for a moment and take a wider view of this entire situation from an extraterrestrial point of view. I think it is entirely normal and natural for extraterrestrials and other civilizations to be involved with each other on various planets in the universe. That is what I would call completely normal. Here's a truly interesting idea. I know that the popular point of view is to say that the Greys are bad because they abduct people against their will. But let's propose another possibility. Imagine that these extraterrestrials looked at our planet and looked at how it is run. What do you think they see? They see government in charge on the one side, and the people who live here absolutely obedient and compliant with whatever the government tells them to do. Now, from their perspective, which is not our Earth-based perspective, they might say, okay, that's how planet Earth is being run. Therefore, we must go to the people in charge to see if we can have access to the human species there. See, it might not even be in their reference points to say, oh, this is really bad. These people are being controlled. We should go directly to the people. We should do whatever is necessary to help. They could have just looked at this Earth and said, okay, we'll just comply with how things are run on planet Earth, because it sure looks like that's what everyone's agreed to, right? They might have gone to the government because they believed that everyone on Earth is in agreement with the system because of the extreme level of collective obedience and compliance. It would make sense to them to go to the government and try to make a deal for them to have access to humans and animals in exchange for advanced technology. See, we always try to project our Earth-based reference points onto extraterrestrial species. This is why the New Age makes up so many false stories about the galaxy being militarized and having cosmic governments running everything. This is all just projection. The truth is, we have no idea how other civilizations and extraterrestrial cultures on many other planets are run. We simply do not know. We only know our isolated version of reality from where we sit here on Earth, from where our minds have been totally manipulated to believe a certain consensus about aliens. So right now we know for sure there are two factions related to ET disclosure. One faction that wants to bring the actual truth out, and another faction that will do anything in its power to keep it hidden. But there's another third faction that we need to consider. And that, my friends, is the religious faction. There are far too many religious people who believe that everyone needs to be destroyed in an Armageddon scenario in order to bring their savior to the planet. There are people in power who believe that if absolute disaster strikes humanity in the form of war, death, and destruction, well, that will summon Jesus or summon some other religious figure to come to Earth and do, I don't know what. Pray over the ashes of humanity? I don't know. That's what they believe. These are the people who claim that ETs are really demons. They like that story because that way they can use it to start a religious war with the aliens. So apparently, there are people in power who are actively trying to create such a scenario, which only complicates things even more. So guys, this is obviously a huge mess. Finally, there is the subject of the extraterrestrials themselves. How are they looking at all of this? Stephen Greer rightly points out that if we achieve these high levels of advanced technology in our current state, they can easily be turned into weapons, very, very serious weapons, you guys. And therefore, we become a danger to other parts of the cosmos. That puts us at risk of being destroyed by someone else off planet. I know this is true because some years ago, Mikhail was telling me of a scenario that was occurring at the time, where there actually was discussion among certain extraterrestrials who were contemplating destroying the Earth because the civilization here was in such bad shape, possibly irredeemable, and far too violent to even be able to evolve. Fortunately, there was a great deal of discussion about this, and it was decided against it. This is why I think Dr. Greer is correct when he says the extraterrestrials are losing patience. They do not want to attack us. They do not want to harm us. But once we become a danger to other worlds because of our violent propensities and our primitive level of consciousness, then all bets are off. You know, Telstar has also told me that Earth is one of the most violent planets they have ever seen. See, we all just take this for granted because we have been brainwashed to think that this is normal human behavior. Now, I'm not sharing all of this with you to draw any sort of final conclusion. I don't think we know what the final conclusion will be. But here's what we do know. We need to be prepared for a level of change and possible chaos that we may have never anticipated. It's possible that the people who want to keep this all secret will continue to succeed in the end. It's also possible by some miraculous occurrence that the people who are more interested in advancing human civilization will succeed in getting all of this out in the open. Then there's the third possibility where the religious fanatics will cause so much war and destruction on this planet that they will be able to create their so-called holy war against the aliens. If there's ever to be a fake alien invasion, I imagine that it would come on that front because they would frame it as being a battle between God and the satanic alien demons. I think we may know more when the fear-based mind control movie Disclosure Day comes out in another couple of weeks. We may know more about their deeper intentions by seeing how this movie actually affects the public and the ensuing narrative that we are fed. So here's what we need to do now. We need to get very serious about our level of cosmic consciousness. We need to make that real in the physical sense of the word and not only see it as a spiritual state of mind. This could be a tough sell for a lot of people because it means that some things will have to be let go of. The first thing that will have to be let go of is so many of the false narratives that are modeled after Hollywood movies. These are narratives that claim that the entire galaxy has been militarized and is run by galactic government hierarchies. This is all fiction that has been very effectively modeled after movies like Star Wars and Star Trek. These movies are specifically produced to give us the frame of reference that the controllers want us to have so that we never see past our own planetary dysfunction. The controllers use movies and entertainment to insert into our minds whatever frame of reference they want us to operate from. These mentally instilled frames of reference serve as corrals. This is how they corral our thoughts and our perception of reality into exactly what they want us to see and believe. And this has obviously worked beautifully for these controllers because nearly everyone on Earth believes most of this nonsense. Here's the thing, you all. Hollywood movies are not a basis for true cosmic consciousness. They are a substitute reality that has been inserted in place of our natural instincts and intuition about what is really going on in the universe. So the first thing that we will need to do is to examine our individual willingness to let go of all the stories we've been told about extraterrestrials, outer space, and spacecraft in the cosmos. Secondly, we will need to realize how deep the brainwashing goes in terms of what we believe about the extraterrestrial universe. We need to cleanse our minds and hearts and get back to a truly natural state of being, which includes our planet, our solar system, our galaxy, and the cosmos at large. We also need to be very clear about our individual purpose in this lifetime. We are here to evolve. We are not here to be controlled and distracted by false narratives. You have all the connecting points you need right within your being. You have your heart and your higher intelligent mind to process what you naturally know to be true. You want to learn to trust yourself, trust your instincts and intuition, and trust the natural universe and our natural planet that we are all an integral part of. And most importantly, do not allow yourself to be caught off guard by however this situation may unfold. We need to be ready for just about anything. Remember that the majority of people in the civilized world have been thoroughly brainwashed about extraterrestrial life in a multitude of ways and continue to believe that what they've been told is the only possible reality. I think this is all going to come down to how people react. That's what will determine whether or not things unfold sort of smoothly or with an ungodly amount of chaos. But whatever the case, as individuals, we can continue to remain stable, clear-minded, and emotionally steady. We can stay on our true cosmic journey of evolution and not get lost in all of this craziness. Now, before I go, I have a free gift for you guys to help you with all of this. This is a guide I created called 5 Steps to Stay Centered in an Anxious World. It's entirely free. The link is in the description below. You can apply any or all of these 5 steps, and I find even just reading about them to be incredibly calming and stabilizing. So I hope you will enjoy that. As I said, it's completely free. Just click the link below and tell me where to send it. So I hope you enjoyed another audio message from me while I wait for my back to continue healing and get back on video with you guys. In the meantime, have a beautiful day, my friends. I am sending you all so much love and gratitude for your patience while you wait for my next actual on-camera video. I'm sending you so much love and many blessings. Namaste, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.